We love a good project here on Studio 5, but today we're trading the hands-on kind for a project of the heart. Dr. Matt Townsend is here with a challenge for each of us to rethink the way we treat the people in our lives. You're calling this Project Empathy.
Yeah.
What's the goal?
Our goal is to learn to get in the path of another. Empathy means within the path of another. And if we would just get out of ourselves enough to get in someone else's mind, what else they're going through in life, and try to reflect on them from their frame of reference instead of ours.
Yeah.
It's called empathy, and when you do it, power.
Well, you were inspired by a video created by healthcare professionals at the Cleveland clinics in Ohio. It was created to get their staff to step into the shoes of their patients, hoping to improve that care. Should we take a look?
Empathy 101.
Here it is. That's powerful. What's the takeaway?
So every single person that's coming to this hospital, the Cleveland Clinic is where they did this. Everybody's bringing their own experience, their own life, their own issues. And what we tend to do is we don't tend to live through your experience. I live through my experience. And yet I might be offended by you, frustrated by you, exhausted by you, even sitting there because I'm now 3 hours into a wait for a doctor that's in a surgery that may save or end up terminating, or somebody may end up dying. And yet I'm frustrated. And so one of the keys to life is, what if we could start to actually take our mind and get into the thoughts and the feelings and the head and the heart and the decisions of the people around us and start to understand where they're coming from? It might actually allow us, with that understanding, to change some of the tension we have in our lives.
And the impression is certainly runs deep when you look at a bigger scale like cancer or a terminally ill patient. But this empathy applies on the day-to-day relationships too.
Even if you watch the video, it gets into examples where a nurse just ran a double shift and is getting off after 16 hours and still has to run home and be a mom all afternoon. So, I mean, it can go on and on and on. So what I just teach you, there's 4 skills to getting this empathy into our lives.
Okay.
And one of the first ones is really we need to get into the space with another person. We need to figure out how I can get out of my head and into the head and stand in someone else's shoes. And it's hard to do, right? Because I've got to get in, I've got to let others into the space with me. I'm the one that gets to decide if you influence me or not. And a lot of times I'm not going to let you in. I am not going to let you into my head because I don't want you to change my beliefs, my assumptions. How many times have you walked down the street and some homeless person was asking for money, and in your head you're like, la, 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 don't go there, don't go there.
And there's so much sadness in the world.
That's
I mean, from homeless people to sick people to just disheartened individuals and broken families. And so there's so much sadness, and so in some ways, is that a protection mechanism?
So now notice, now what we do is we just don't let them in. And when we get used to not letting people in that could hurt us, that could make our lives harder, we think that that's making our lives better, but it's really not. We're actually learning to not be in the path of others. I'm not saying just because you see a homeless person, you have to give them money, but you could let them in. And then the second step is step into their shoes. Just step into their shoes. And the simple way to do that, your brain is wired to do this. Just ask yourself, what is it like to be them? What is it like to be this person? We went on a walk on Thanksgiving one day, and we were walking downtown, and we walked by a homeless person, and my father-in-law had passed this man. And, you know, we passed him, it was no big deal. And we finally caught up with my father-in-law, and he was sobbing. He was crying, and we're like, what's wrong, what's wrong? He goes, I don't know what just happened. But I just looked at this man in the eyes, and he looked at me, and my heart just softened for this man. And he felt it. Now, it doesn't mean he has to stop and pay him and take him to lunch and do all this stuff. But we can allow ourselves to be influenced by people, especially people we care about. So just ask yourself questions. What's it like to be her? What's it like to be that mom whose husband's always out of town? What's it like to be my mom who doesn't have a husband and is home alone?
It certainly slows you down, and like your father-in-law experienced, opens up your heart to brand new, no, I shouldn't say brand new, but emotions that we don't often allow ourselves to feel on a daily basis.
And those emotions are what I call finishing feelings. Those are feelings that make us better people. Those are feelings that finish us and make us more of the kind of person we want to be. Instead of the fearful person keeping the feelings away, we're just allowing the feelings in, and we'll see what happens. When you allow them in, by the way, look for the fruits of empathy. There are certain feelings that will come over you when you're having empathy.
Like
more
what?
love, more patience, more hope for another person, more understanding, more compassion, more caring. So when you allow those feelings in, it doesn't mean your life's gonna be easy and perfect and you're not gonna have problems, but all of a sudden I'll replace my anger, my exhaustion, my fear with more love, more compassion, and I let the feelings in. That's how we're gonna create a little bit. Empathy is not just caring about another, it's allowing those feelings to actually influence you. And we're gonna allow those feelings to influence before we do the last step, which is simply, I'm going to use these feelings to guide me in what I should do next. Let your empathy be your guide. I don't need to automatically pay or give money to somebody that is homeless. I should allow my empathy to then direct me. And my empathy will then tell me what to do next. I let my good feelings direct me instead of my fear. I let my hope in my life direct me instead of my my concern about the future.
Well, and can I ask you, we've so far used examples that are a little bit on the outside, people that we're observing from the outside looking in. What about the people in our own close circles, our family members, or within our own homes? Can empathy pay off in those relationships too?
What's it like to be your son who has a mother that's so advanced and so on top of everything and so wants him to be the best he could be? What's it like to be your son waking up with you and certain pressures every morning? What's it like to be the youngest child of a family of 6 children where every child was superior and incredible at everything? What's it like to be your mother-in-law? What's it like to be your friend? So yeah, you just ask the question, allow the feelings to come into you, just have some peace, some love, and then I would just simply ask, great, what can I do now to exercise my empathy and to love this person? And sometimes it doesn't mean an act, it just means just love them. Just accept them as they are.
What a good challenge, Matt. Project Empathy.
Project
We're all
Empathy.
on board. Thank you. Taking a turn for a minute, are seats still available at your date night?
Yes, but they're going fast. So get on this. November 15th at 7 o'clock. It's at Olympus Junior High. We're going to talk about peace and how you get this spirit of empathy with the people around you that are so difficult sometimes, in-laws that are outlawed, all of that. Go to Date Nights with Matt. And bring your friends, bring your family, bring your neighbors, bring the people that you know need to hear the message. Let's bring all these families together, then we're going to talk about peace and creating peace with people.
And what a great time of year to talk about that before the holiday hectic
Set you up for the holidays.
Awesome, Matt, thank you.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
When we come back, choose a dose of happy for your kitchen. We spot some options for your next home upgrade. That's next.